Daily Devotionals with open hearts and open minds. First United Methodist Church in Pueblo, Colorado presents Hope and Coffee with Pastor Hugo Venegas.
Hi, this is Hugo Venegas. Welcome back to Hope and Coffee. And we're studying the faces of hope in Genesis chapter 7. And we talked yesterday that one of the faces of hope is patience. Now, what is patience? What is your definition of patience? Now, I have the Collegiate Dictionary and I am looking at the word patience, and it says patience is bearing pains or trials calmly or without complaint. Patience is the manifestation of forbearance under provocation or strain. Patience is not being hasty or impetuous. Patience is being steadfast despite opposition, difficulty, or adversity. Patience is being able or willing to bear strain. Now, all of these things you could say apply to Noah, that he bore the pains and the trials of being locked up in a ship for how many days? All right, scholars believe there is a debate as to how many days Noah was in the ark, and I'll tell you, there are some who believe that he was in the ark for 360 days, and some scholars believe 361 days. So he was locked up for a year. It rained 40 days and 40 nights, but he was in there for a full year. And you'll see what happens and the patience, because it was not it stopped raining and then he went out. He had to wait for the waters to recede, and the waters receded, and then the ark was on top of a mountain, but it was not safe. Then the waters had to go down, and then he waited, and then he sent a pigeon out, and then the pigeon came back. Then he had to wait another amount of days. Then he sent the bird out again, had to wait, the bird came back. And then finally, he sent the bird out, and the bird came back with a leaf. And then they sent the bird out again, and the bird never returned. And even when the bird did not return, Noah suspected that the land was dry, he still had to wait. He still had to wait on God. So patience may be manifesting forbearance under strain or provocation, not being hasty or impetuous. And this is a big one, because we talked about the COVID-19 yesterday and how during Memorial Weekend, and we have seen it around the protests around our city, people are just cramming and crowding. And there are people who are going to churches and are singing, and that's one of the ways that you can get infected, because the spores are transmitted once you're speaking, or if you're talking too loud. Scientifically, that's how most people get the virus. So touch, cleaning the surfaces, that's very important. Washing our hands, not touching our faces, that's important. There is a limited amount of transmission that happens that way, but most of it is just the spores, and that's why we're to wear masks. So if we're asymptomatic and we don't know that we're sick, we can transmit this. Now, patience is not our virtue, all right? It's not our virtue. I have a cousin, and my cousin on Memorial Day, I texted her because her husband a few years ago passed away, and he was a veteran. And I texted her and asked her if she had gone to the cemetery, and she texted me back and said, "No, I haven't gone to the cemetery." Yeah, seminary. That's where I went to. And I haven't been feeling well. So I asked her, "Tell me your symptoms." And she goes, "I'm sniffy. I think it's allergies." And I'm like, you need to go get tested. And she said, "Well, I don't think I'm sick. It's just allergies. It's springtime and I get allergies." I said, I would still go get tested. Can you promise me that you'll go get tested? So she went, and then a few days later, she messaged me back, and she said, "Cousin, I tested positive. I have COVID-19. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, I am really so sorry." And me being Hugo, very curious, I texted back and said, "Do you have an idea as to how you might have gotten this?" And she didn't answer and answered out on my other questions. And then me being Hugo, I texted back and said, "You haven't answered my question. How did you get the virus?" And then she messaged me back, and I knew why she did not want to respond, because she told me that her boyfriend was sick and he did not want to wait. He was missing her. He was so eager to see her, and he was sick and came over to see her, and he had the virus, and he gave her the virus because he was impetuous, he was impatient, and she allowed him to come on over, and they both got sick. Now, why am I telling you that? Because Noah was in the ark for a full year. And patience, when we talk about patience, we have to understand that patience has to operate on God's timeline. And sometimes we think that we are ready to go. Sometimes we think that I am ready for this new job. I am ready to be a grandparent. And do you realize that there are a lot of grandparents who are saying, "I'm ready to be a grandparent." But their kids are not ready to have children. And we force things upon people. And so I want us to talk a little bit about patience. And it's not being impetuous. It's not hurrying up on God's timeline. It's about God's timeline. And let's talk about this tomorrow. And this is Hugo Venegas. God bless you, and go out and be patient.
Thank you for joining us for our daily devotional, Hope and Coffee, with Pastor Hugo Venegas. Thank you for joining us for our daily devotional, Hope and Coffee. If you enjoyed today's devotion, like or subscribe below. We also welcome you to join our family at First United Methodist Church in Pueblo, Colorado. You can visit our website at firstumcpueblo.org, and we hope you continue to have a blessed day. You can visit our website at firstumcpueblo.org, and we hope you continue to have a blessed day. We'll see you tomorrow.